What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Giants. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo, joined by my co-host, Alex Wilson, and Week 5 is upon us. There was a thrilling Thursday night football game last night between the Rams and the 49ers. Our picks on Sleeper were so close, but not quite there. Puka Nacua just didn't clear 98.5 yards, but nevertheless, we've got Giants football on Sunday afternoon. That's what we're here to discuss, and that's what we're excited for. The Giants versus the Saints on the road for the first time in Jaxson Dart's career. He'll be starting in a home different from the New York Giants. He'll be starting in the Louisiana Superdome. New Orleans Saints, it's a tough environment to play in. This is going to be a test for the rookie, albeit against a pretty bad New Orleans Saints team. The Saints are 0-4. They're in dire need of a win, but the Giants at 1-3, a win would be huge for them too. To be 2-3, turning their season around 2-0 with Jaxson Dart in the starting lineup would be massive. But we're still the 1-3 New York Giants. No game is a given. And in fact, the New York Giants are listed as underdogs going into this game, of course, after the loss of Malik Neighbors. So we're going to go ahead and preview this matchup and discuss how the New York Giants could win and what a win would mean for Big Blue. And also discuss today's injury report that had Tyrone Tracy Jr. listed as doubtful and Dexter Lawrence listed as questionable with an illness. But Brian Dable said he expects him to play. Alex, how are you doing today, my friend? I know, the illness. I'm questionable with an illness right now. It's going around. Everybody's got it, Dexter Lawrence included. That makes me feel a little bit better, but hopefully you're feeling just fine and dandy. Alex, how are you and how excited are you for Sunday's matchup?
I mean, listen, do I feel good? I've had better days, man. Last night I was at the Yankee game, had a couple of Aspen Vodka Espresso Martinis. Let's just say I had a great ending to the game, rough morning, but now feeling a little bit better. Different type of illness, but you know what? I'm excited for Week 5 for the New York Giants. Jaxson Dart getting his second start. Now we know the offense really relied on the run game in Cam Scatterbo to carry the load this past week, and Jaxson Dart ran for 54 yards, if I'm not mistaken, on 111 passing yards. It was not a game where Jaxson Dart was leaning on his arm to pick up the majority of the production, but I think this is a game where he can let it rip. I think this is the game where protect your body. Like, he was sore after last week. He came out, he left everything on the field, man. He gave it his all, and I respect the hell out of him for that, but now it's time for him to stop sacrificing his health and start maximizing his arm, because I think that his passing qualities are very good. I know losing Malik Neighbors is substantially debilitating to this offense, but look, the Saints are a bad football team. Like, they're not going to be a pushover team. Somehow the Giants are underdogs, which is kind of funny, but they're underdogs. They're not a great football team. They do give up points. The Giants can maximize this. I do think that they will try to establish the run. That's not anything that should be a surprise. But I want to see Jaxson Dart attack the field. I want to see Jaxson Dart push the defense. I want to see him take some shots downfield for some explosive plays. I want to see him get the ball to Wandale in space. I want to see him maximize his tight ends. Start to develop chemistry with these receivers. Like, right now, he doesn't have any. It's very, very minimal. He doesn't have much experience with them in real live action. And this is a chance for him to find out who's the guy that I can lean on. Who's the guy that's going to get these targets? Who's the guy that's going to come up big for me when I need him? These are really important things for the Giants to know. Like, this is a bridge year. We do want Jaxson Dart to obviously win football games, but most importantly, where does he kind of look to? What players resonate alongside him? I think that's information that is critical for the future. We're in kind of an exploratory version of the Giants. We're exploring what weaknesses and strengths Dart has, who is going to step up and help him succeed. Now we find out all of that, and that's really important information for the future.
Absolutely. This is a huge opportunity for Jaxson Dart. Last week, going up against an elite defense, finds a way to win, but of course the Giants don't really turn him loose. They don't want him to put the ball in harm's way against a defense that's prone to causing turnovers. But this week, going up against a bruised and battered and poor New Orleans Saints secondary, this is the perfect opportunity to give Jaxson Dart some reps where he is pushing the ball into tighter windows and throwing it downfield. Alex, one thing that I gotta point out to you, have you looked at the New Orleans Saints starting lineup?
Have I looked at it? Do I need to?
Guess who's starting at cornerback for this team? It's a former Giant. You'll never guess who it is, though.
All right. Corey Ballantyne.
No, but that's a pretty good poll, but no.
Okay. Is it someone recent or like he's older?
It's a few years ago.
Okay, I got one. What is his name? What's his name? It's definitely him too. I think he was on the Falcons previously. Um, is he a
It's
draft
not.
pick?
It's not McLeod. If you're thinking
No, what? Not
McLeod,
McLeod.
I'll tell you who it is.
No, no, don't tell me. No, was it a former draft pick?
No, Giants did not draft this guy.
Oh, damn. I know. You're going to say his name and I want to know. Tell me.
Isaac Yiadom is playing
Holy
starting
shit.
cornerback for the New Orleans
He's still in
Saints.
the league?
I didn't know he was still in
Oh,
the league, but he's
oh,
starting for the
dude.
New Orleans Saints.
Pick
Isn't
on
that
him,
crazy?
bro. Pick
Right.
on him.
Yeah,
Oh,
we don't even
God.
need Malik Neighbors out there. Darius Slayton should be
Throw me
able
out there,
to
bro.
cook Isaac Yiadom. Yes, throw the go ball to Alex Wilson ESM. He's
Will
got
Cook.
this.
Will Cook, yeah, Isaac
Against
Yiadom.
Isaac Yiadom. And starting opposite him is Kool-Aid McKinstry, who was a prospect that we really liked coming out of the draft, I believe, last year, but he hasn't necessarily blossomed just yet, of course, playing in a bad New Orleans Saints defense. This is a really bad secondary. This is an opportunity for Jaxson Dart to push the ball downfield in spite of Malik Neighbors' ACL tear. This should still be viewed as an opportunity for the Giants to turn it loose with Jaxson Dart. I mean, you really think about it, Alex. Jaxson Dart didn't get a whole lot of reps with Malik Neighbors anyway. He was running with the twos for the majority of training camp. All throughout the preseason, he played with the twos. He hasn't thrown that many live reps with Malik Neighbors regardless. Of course, having Neighbors out there is a massive, impactful piece to the offense, but it's not exactly something that Jaxson Dart's accustomed to having anyway. He's used to throwing to these second-team guys. He's used to throwing to those lesser quality players, and he does have good chemistry with some of those backups on the Giants who now need to step up and play larger roles with Malik Neighbors out. So this is not a moment to me where if I'm the Giants coaching staff, I'm saying no Malik Neighbors, no throwing the ball. We got to pound the rock. Listen, the Giants should pound the rock because they have a good rushing attack. They have a great running back in their backfield in Cam Scatterbo, and they have a really good mobile quarterback, an athletic quarterback in Jaxson Dart. So yes, they should be running the football, but they should also be taking advantage of a very bad New Orleans Saints secondary and asking this young rookie, can you handle it? Throw the ball downfield, throw it into these tight windows, and take advantage of a bad New Orleans Saints secondary.
Yeah, and I'll take it one step further, Anthony. You want to know who was their worst cornerback last week? And this points to someone who I'll tell you is going to cook this week. If you're a betting man or gal, this is where I'd be going with it. Alontae Taylor last week gave up 4 receptions for 77 yards and a touchdown. He was the lowest graded player on their team, and he's their slot cornerback. So, I wonder who plays slot receiver for the Giants, who, had a pretty good start to the season, who's my guy, Wan'Dale freaking Robinson. But I'm going to take it a step further, Anthony. Not just Wan'Dale Robinson. I'd like, and this is something you've mentioned in the past, I'd like to see the Giants maybe use Hyatt in the slot a little bit. Maybe run some streaks. Maybe attack the seams with a guy who's going up against one of the worst slot cornerbacks last week. This is a player, who's really been suspect the whole season. I'm not seeing anything like crazy from him. He's given up 3 touchdowns already this year. The last 3 weeks, he's given up 30 yards or more. Has a 66.7% reception rate. Like, cook this guy. Attack him. Wan'Dale, Hyatt, I don't care. Get whoever in the slot and attack this matchup because Alontae Taylor is a liability for the New Orleans Saints, former second-round pick from 2022. But, looking at their other pieces, I mean, their middle linebacker, Pete Werner, he's also a liability in coverage. I mean, yeah, like Isaac Yiadom, you said, obviously he got cooked a lot too. Kool-Aid McKinstry's probably going to be manning up with Darius Slayton if I had to guess. So this really bodes well for Jalen Hyatt and Wan'Dale. Like, this is the game where Hyatt could get 3, 4, 5 targets. He just needs to come down with 1 or 2 of them to make a big impact. And then obviously Theo Johnson could have one of those games too. He's got to get better. Like, he has to improve. So that's definitely something that I'm looking at right now. I mean, in terms of run defense, they have Cameron Jordan. Obviously, he's tremendous. But aside from Cam Jordan, they have Demario Davis, who's so super freaking old at this point. They don't have anything crazy. Like, their interior defensive linemen, Brian Breesy and Nathan Shepard, are horrible players. And I would be running to the outside to wherever side Yiadom is playing on, too, because he can't tackle for jack shit. So, I don't know. I'm feeling pretty good right now. The Giants' offense should cook this Saints defense alive. Like, there is no excuse for them not putting at least 25 points on the board against the Saints defense. Wan'Dale Hyatt, those are the guys. Like, they need to step up. Their matchups are really good. So, how would you go about attacking Alontae Taylor and kind of the slot cornerback? Because I do think he's a huge liability and a point the Giants should be emphasizing.
I agree with you. And unfortunately, this is something that the Giants have struggled to do over the last 2 weeks of the season. They haven't gotten the ball to Wan'Dale Robinson enough. I think Wan'Dale Robinson really flashed in the first 2 games of the season that he can be a weapon. He finds space in zone coverages. He knows how to get open, and he can get open downfield even. We saw that against the Cowboys. He had a couple, I think he had 3 deep receptions in that game, including one long bomb for a touchdown, of course, delivered by Russell Wilson. So you've seen it. We've seen it before. Wan'Dale Robinson is an underrated piece of this offense. He can do more than what the Giants necessarily ask him to do. And now this week, when you're going up against a bad secondary with a terrible nickel cornerback, as you mentioned, target your slot receiver, target this kid in his contract year who is hungry to make some plays and earn some money. Turn him loose. Let Jaxson Dart throw him the football. That should be priority number 1 for the Giants from a passing standpoint. Exploit matchups. And you have a matchup advantage there in the slot with Wan'Dale Robinson, who in the first 2 weeks of the season was blossoming as a potential breakout star. So I want to see him get back on track. He hasn't touched the ball enough or been targeted enough over the last 2 weeks of the season. But now going into New Orleans, this is when you get Wan'Dale Robinson back involved into the game plan and target him in the passing game, in my opinion. I think this is a really big opportunity for Wan'Dale Robinson. But moving over to the backfield, Alex, you mentioned Cam Scatterbo and how there aren't a ton of great run defenders out there for the New Orleans Saints defense. But I want to go here to the injury report. Tyrone Tracy Jr. listed as doubtful, still recovering from the dislocated shoulder that he suffered in Week 3 versus the Kansas City Chiefs. The fact that he's doubtful is actually a positive sign for me, Alex. I know that might be surprising, but I thought that he would miss more time due to that shoulder injury. Sometimes a dislocated shoulder, that can keep you sidelined for quite a while. That can nag, and he missed last week's game, and now he's doubtful for this week, which means he had a low-key chance of playing. He should be good to go by next week, only missing 2-3 games maximum here for Tyrone Tracy Jr. It's actually a pretty positive development, in my opinion, that he's doubtful for this week's game instead of just being flat-out ruled out for this game. So what's your takeaway there, and what's the impact, looking ahead down the line? Obviously, we're previewing the Saints game, but Tyrone Tracy Jr., he's working back soon, but for one more week, it's still the Cam Scatterbo show.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. When it comes to Tyrone Tracy, he's I think the reason he's sitting this week is because we have a short week, right? We play on Thursday next week. So I think they want him to be ready for that. I think that's when he'll return. He'll return to the offense. But dude, Cam Scatterbo, even when Tracy returns, Scatterbo's earned the lion's share of reps at this point. Like, I like Tracy, don't get me wrong. I think he's a good complementary piece. But Cam Scatterbo is playing like an RB1, and not just some RB1 de facto because he got replaced, because the starter got replaced. He's playing like one of the best running backs in the game right now. In pass protection, as a receiver, just on the ground. Like, he's doing everything at a high level. He's earned the right to, I think, 70% of the snaps. And look, you want Tracy to be fully healthy, so they're not going to overwhelm him in the first return. So I think 30% snap share is fine. And to be honest with you, Anthony, I've liked what I've seen from Devin Singletary too, and to supplement and spell the absence of Tracy. So shout out to Singletary to stepping in and being a baller, like when they needed him to be. So, Cam Scatterbo, I think that he's earned the lion's share. I think he will maintain the lion's share. He is going to be a critical piece of this offense. And him and Jaxson Dart are just like must-watch television. You know what I mean? Like, they're just, I mean, for content creators like ourselves, they're easy content. They are just amazing and so much fun to watch, and they just generate lots of hype and aura. I'm pretty excited about that combination. The Giants have 2 running backs that are solid. They have a backup and a veteran in Singletary, at least for this season, that's solid. But like, I do think it's important to throw into the mix here, though, that I do think it's important that Tracy does play a hefty amount as well, like 30 to 40% of the snaps, because you do want to keep both of them healthy. And keep both of them ready, and obviously it's a long season, so the hits that these guys take, especially Cam Scatterbo, who likes to run headfirst into people, I think that having Tracy to spell some of that is important. But at this point, Cam Scatterbo is my RB1, and I don't think I'm looking back.
What's up, everybody? Anthony from Fireside Giants here, and football is back. I can't wait to head to a few games this season, being at the tailgates and in the stands, enjoying the moment surrounded by fans. But in the past, I've had a lot of trouble getting tickets for events at the right price. Being hit with queues, endless forms, and seeing prices jump at checkout, I can't stand it. All I want is to be in the stadium, cheering my team on with other fans. That's where the Game Time app comes in. The Game Time app gives the advantage back to the fans. It's incredibly easy to use, and the Game Time guarantee means you can trust you'll get 100% authentic tickets on time and at the best price. Plus, fees are always included, so what you see is what you pay. I'm thinking about going to the Giants versus Commanders Week 15 game at MetLife, so I've been browsing Game Time looking for some tickets. Game Time has some great deals for this game, with tickets currently starting at just $65. And remember, fees are included, so that price you see is exactly what you pay. Game Time also provides you with seat views, so you can get a panoramic view of your seat in the app before you buy the tickets. These seats in the end zone look great to me. It's also great to know that when I purchase these tickets, Game Time offers full coverage, meaning the purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. I've used Game Time in the past, and I have always gotten great deals and had an overwhelmingly positive experience. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. Yeah, I think that in an ideal world, there isn't a hard set RB1 for the New York Giants, and they play it based on matchups and hot hands, and they really do commit to that running back by committee idea that they've once had going into the season. Obviously, the injury to Tracy somewhat derailed that. Tracy was the lead back in this backfield, but Cam Skattebo was eating into his touches in the first few weeks of the season. Injury causes Skattebo to become the workhorse. But I think in an ideal world, again, you don't want necessarily a workhorse back here. You want them to be playing off of one another, and I think that's what the Giants want. But you're right, Skattebo's been really impressive. He's the highest graded running back in the NFL according to Pro Football Focus. He's probably going to be the workhorse back. He's earned that so far. He just has to keep that momentum going. But I love the idea of having Cam Skattebo as this powerful short yardage back who's obviously dynamic enough to be more than just that, but being your power back, and then Tyrone Tracy Jr. being your elusive one cut, earth wind running back, and then you've got the fire of Cam Skattebo. That's kind of how I really like to look at this backfield once Tracy's back. So I'm excited for that, and obviously can't wait to watch more Cam Skattebo and watch him put his head down and run through some more defenders this weekend against the New Orleans Saints. That's going to be a lot of fun. Flipping over to the defensive side of the ball, Alex, I don't know if you saw this, but Spencer Rattler had some choice words for Shane Bowen in his press conference this week, kind of indicating, he said something, sort of paraphrasing here, he said something along the lines of, they don't do a lot of disguising what their coverage is. They pretty much just sit back and tell you what they're going to do. And so I found that a
He's
little
not
bit funny.
wrong.
Spencer Rattler is an 0-10 starter. Did you know that? He's never won a start. He is 0-10 in his career as a starter. 10-game losing streak. We thought we had it bad with our previous quarterbacks as New York Giants fans. At least we're not Spencer Rattler bad. But you know what? Spencer Rattler trying to call out the New York Giants defense, say that they run something too simplistic. Here's what I need the Giants to do. Put that belt to ass, man. Make him an 0-11 starter and force the Saints to bench Spencer Rattler and put in that bum Tyler Shuck. That's what we need to see happen in this one. The Giants should be taking what Spencer Rattler said in the media, throwing it up on the bulletin board and saying, okay, we're going to go after this poor kid. We're going to make him regret that he ever mentioned anything about the film that he watched on us. We're going to totally flip the script on him, and we are going to embarrass him on his home field because we have the defensive line capable of doing exactly that. And one thing we know about Spencer Rattler, Alex, doesn't necessarily perform well when the pressure is on, and the New York Giants can bring pressure just as good as anybody else, as we saw last week against the Los Angeles Chargers. So this game plan defensively for the Giants, get after Spencer Rattler. Run your simplistic defense if you want, because he probably can't pick it apart anyway. But get those pass rushers home and force some turnovers and just apply that pressure, and he will break and crumble underneath all that pressure. So I think it's a very simple game plan for the Giants defense this weekend. You just have to execute. But I have to say, I have quite a large amount of confidence in this defensive line to execute that exact game plan, apply that pressure, and hopefully help the New York Giants offense out with some good field position from forcing some turnovers.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Shane Bowen doesn't disguise coverages that often, but he doesn't need to. Spencer Rattler has never seen a defensive line like the one we have right now. I mean, Burns and Dexter Lawrence and Kayvon and Abdul Carter are all playing at Pro Bowl levels. And don't get confused, guys. I know people will say, well, Dexter Lawrence hasn't been that good. The not so good version of Dexter Lawrence is still a Pro Bowl player. Like, that's how good he is. Yeah, I know he's sick right now, so hopefully he'll be fine by Sunday afternoon. But Spencer Rattler's not going to know what hit him when he plays this pass rush. He has not seen a unit like this season, and he's going to be like, okay, they don't need to disguise coverages because I don't have time to even get through my reads. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to disguise coverages all the time when you can't progress. You can't get to the next read because you're already under duress. So, yeah, like Shane Bowen, his system is quite lame and vanilla, but those pass rushers are so good that it doesn't even matter half the time. And we saw it last week. It doesn't really matter. But if he does, like you said, like implement any sort of creativity to his system, Spencer Rattler is going to be sitting there with vertigo. Like, I got to take a nap. Like, ain't no way I'm going to survive this. So the Giants just have to, commit. You get to Rattler, make him make mistakes. I would bet a hefty amount that you'll see at least one interception. So I definitely am pretty excited to see this defense put an ass whipping on Spencer Rattler and the offense to just do their thing. Be efficient, play with tempo, lean into Jaxson Dart's strengths. This is the next step in Dart's evolution, you know what I mean? Throwing the football. Don't have to take unnecessary hits. You're not going to lose to this Saints team by, being conservative. Like, be aggressive, be a gunslinger, play that way. It's okay if he throws an interception or two. This defense will bail him out. So like that might be a hot take, but I don't think it really is. Like, he's going to make mistakes, guys. He's a rookie. Let him make those mistakes against bad football teams. That's kind of what we have to look forward to at this point in time. See if he can rebound. See, does he rebound from bad moments quickly? Obviously, we prefer him not to do those things, but they're going to happen. It's just the NFL. It's just the position. But I don't know. I do think that this defense is good enough that it can bail Jaxson Dart out of any situation he puts himself in. So be aggressive, open up the passing game, and just be himself. That's kind of what I want to see from him.
I agree with you 100%. I want to see Jaxson Dart be himself. That's why I said in our interview with Carl Banks the other day, listen, a lot of fans want him to slide and avoid contact at all costs. No, that's just who Jaxson Dart is, and you gotta let Jaxson Dart be Jaxson Dart. Jaxson Dart's gonna want to run through some people. Jaxson Dart's going to run through some people. Yes, he needs to pick and choose his battles. He said as much in the media, and of course I said as much during that conversation with Carl Banks. He can't be stiff-arming people with his throwing hand, obviously, and he needs to avoid some contact, and again, pick and choose those battles, but you don't want to completely nerf the kid. He's like a Baker Mayfield type. The more he gets hit, the more he hits people, the better he gets. He supercharges himself. It's like kinetic energy. So I love Jaxson Dart and his playing style and just his mentality on the football field and how it's very similar to Cam Scadaboo's. And I said this on Giants Collective last night, Alex. Cam Scadaboo and Jaxson Dart are so easy for Giants fans to root for because of their energy being so emblematic of New York and New York sports fans. We want to fight. We want to compete every second. We are hustlers, right? Like, New Yorkers and New York sports fans are hustlers. They put it all out there every single opportunity that they get. And so does Jaxson Dart, and so does Cam Scadaboo, so does Brian Burns, for that matter. And so far this season, so has Kayvon Thibodeau. I want to give credit to him and a shout out to him as well. But it's just so emblematic of New York Giants football and New York culture and sports fans. So that's why they're so easy to root for, and that's why I think they're going to be very successful in the New York spotlight for a very long time. I'm very excited for it. So last kind of preview piece here, Alex, before we do wrap up, the offensive line. They also do need to step up in this game. They've been better this year, I will say that. They've had their moments where they've looked pretty bad, that's for sure, especially when James Hudson was on the field, of course. But James Hudson no longer on the field. Andrew Thomas has looked damn good since he's returned to the field for the New York Giants. Andrew Thomas is playing once again at his usual all-pro level self. He looks great, and he is helping keep Jaxson Dart upright, but we need more of that. We need to keep Jaxson Dart upright. He took 6 sacks last week. Most of those truly were his fault. He was holding onto the ball, which I think is fine. Take those sacks rather than throw those picks in your first start. That makes sense. But now that we're asking him to turn it loose, to take some of those shots downfield in his second start against a bad defense, he's only going to be able to do that if the offensive line holds up. So, Alex, kind of your thoughts on the offensive line here. I think I saw you write an article today. Is that about John Runyon Jr., right?
Yeah.
And how he's improved? Yeah, let me hear your thoughts on this offensive line.
All right, well, guys, if you want to hear about John Runyon Jr., and probably don't, but I'm going to tell you about him anyway. John Runyon Jr. just had one of the best games he's ever had with the Giants last week. And let me tell you something. Andrew Thomas makes everybody around him better. Everybody, right? Cam Scottaboo, they ran a lot behind Andrew Thomas last week. Cam Scottaboo had his most production. I know, Anthony, you posted about that. Most production came running behind the left side. John Runyon had the best pass protecting grade he's had as a Giant this past weekend against a really, really good Chargers defense. That is extremely encouraging. And listen, John Runyon Jr. is not a great player, and I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and act like he is. But we saw a good version. He's a good player when he was with Green Bay, and he was playing out of position. He was playing at right guard. Over the last year, John Runyon Jr. has had like 7 different people playing next to him. Aside from John Michael Schmitz, who's just complete cheeks at times, the left tackle he's had to deal with, Josh Azidu and yada, yada, yada. How many different horrible pieces have we seen Runyon have to play alongside at left tackle? And then even JMS got hurt in the first year, and they had I don't even know who the hell they had playing center at that point. The Giants have not done their players any favors when it comes to being good. Like I said, Runyon, not a great player. I'm not saying he is, but when you have Andrew Thomas next to you, it makes everything a little bit easier. I wouldn't be surprised, as long as Thomas is healthy, Runyon starts to stack some good games. Keep an eye. I said it here first. Just keep an eye on it. I'll remind you. But if Runyon starts to stack some good games, we're going to realize that it wasn't because Runyon's bad. It's because he didn't have his best player next to him and a critical component on this offensive line at left tackle. So, yes, what you're saying here is correct. Andrew Thomas's return opens everything up, the run game, the pass game, but it makes everybody else better. It makes everybody else more competent, especially guys that have been struggling. So, that's really, really encouraging, and I could say the same for Jermaine Illuminor. Greg Van Roten should not be a good player, guys. He is competent because he's playing next to a guy he has 3 years straight of chemistry with in Jermaine Illuminor, and that goes a long way, right? Like, chemistry is important in the offensive line. Jermaine Illuminor makes the guys around him better as well. The Giants have finally, I would label it bookend tackles. Illuminor's not a well above average player, but he is the best right tackle that we've had in a decade. And I don't think that's hard to actually justify. So, I'll say with confidence, I label those 2 guys as bookend tackles right now. And I am 100% on board for extending Jermaine Illuminor, because you do not let good offensive linemen out the door. If Joe Shane has a head on his shoulder and 2 nuts, he will be re-signing Jermaine Illuminor this offseason. I don't really care the cost. I don't think it's going to be that expensive. He'll be 31 years old next year. So right now I'm feeling pretty confident about this, about the trend of some of these players. There's still a lot of work left to do and a lot of pieces they need in the future. But let's just protect Jaxson Dart and allow him to operate an offense that can actually pass the football downfield.
Absolutely. Total agreement with you. And listen, I'm really excited for this Sunday's game. And guys, just a reminder, we go live for every New York Giants game we have so far this season. We've done live play-by-play and reaction calls to these Giants games, and we will be live once again this Sunday afternoon. I'm going to get my bed rest tonight and tomorrow so that I can be live on Sunday afternoon doing the play-by-play. I know a lot of you really do enjoy the play-by-play that I've been doing so far. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback and reactions to it, and we do appreciate everybody who's been tuning in to those live streams. But do make sure, Sunday afternoon, 1 o'clock, we'll actually probably start the stream a little bit before 1 o'clock, so filter in there, and then as soon as the ball is kicked off, you can hear me and Alex do the play-by-play for Giants versus Saints. It's going to be a lot of fun, and hopefully we're calling another win this Sunday like we were last Sunday. That was a ton of fun. So really looking forward to it, guys. Make sure to tune in on Sunday. Can't wait to see all of you showing up and showing out to support our New York Giants in that live stream on Sunday afternoon. But guys, until then, make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel if you're new, ring the bell so you don't miss an episode, and comment your thoughts down below in the comment section. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, do make sure to leave us a 5-star review, and go ahead and follow us on all of our social media channels at Fireside Giants. Without further ado, catch you on the next one. Have a good one, and let's go New York Giants.
Perfect.